Why don't we get started with John and then Daniel when he's ready?
All right.
Good afternoon, Coach. Go ahead,
Afternoon.
John McMullen. You can get started, and then Dan Gallen.
Okay. Hi, Doug. You had mentioned after the game yesterday about Carson and not thinking about benching him, thinking would send the wrong message. When you look back at the film and you start to think about moving forward in the NFC East and that message, it would say if there was a 7-3 team in this division, would that change your thinking?
That's a hypothetical question, and I'm not getting into that.
Well, can I follow up real quickly? As far as Carson, and
right now we're still in the hunt. I mean, we're still leading the division. So we have a lot to play for right now.
Go ahead, Daniel, and then Dave.
Hey, Doug. Yesterday, Miles Sanders said that the Browns made some adjustments after halftime. I think he said their linebackers started coming a little bit more downhill. When you looked at the film, what did you see from the Cleveland defense in the second half?
Their linebackers coming downhill.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Tim.
Hey, Doug. Even before Jason Peters left the game yesterday, it seemed like he wasn't playing at a very high level. What did you make of his performance, and is he your left tackle moving forward?
Yeah, he's our left tackle moving forward. And look, there were a lot of things that several things that sort of stood out after watching the film. From a number of positions, and not just one specific spot or aspect of the game offensively. And it's something that, as you've heard me say this before, there's enough to go around. O-line, running backs, tight ends, the quarterbacks, the receivers. A lot of work still needs to be done, but we can get it done.
Tim, and then Paul.
Doug, you get asked a lot about not rolling Carson Wentz out of the pocket more. Could you help give us insight into why that's not happening? Is it not part of kind of your scheme? Is it something that Carson doesn't like? Does something have to happen first until you get to that part? Can you just help us understand that better?
No, probably the number one thing is just me calling it more, honestly. We had success in the run game in the first half, and my plan going into the second half was to kind of get him out of the pocket. Especially on 1st and 10, situations, to do that. And a couple of times we had in this game plan, we had the movement throws also kill to a run check built into the game plan based on what the defense gave us. So some of that came up where we got to the run as opposed to the quarterback movement. But honestly, it's probably more me just calling them.
Go ahead, Paul, and then Jeff McLean.
Yeah, Doug, two quick questions about Carson's first interception. A, was Rodgers supposed to pick up Ward on that side? And B, it appeared Rager was open on that play. Did Carson not see him? What exactly happened there?
Yeah, part of that protection, obviously the tight ends have to be aware of, especially on the nub side like that, to be aware of, DBs coming off the edge. And it's unfortunate, that happened, and we just missed. He saw him late and tried to get a hand on him, but by then it was too late. He hit Carson. I do think that Carson did have an opportunity. I haven't spoken to Carson yet today. We'll see him here in a little bit, but haven't had a chance to really talk to him about that play. But it appeared that he had Jalen, like right now, off of the play fake, and possibly could have completed that pass before the hit.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Zach.
Two of my questions were taken, but Doug, why is Alshon Jeffrey even being active? Why is he on the team?
Why is he on the team? Well,
younger
you know,
players.
listen,
John Hightower only got one snap. I mean, what's the point of playing Alshon Jeffrey at this point when he's not even going to be here next year? Unlikely to be. I think a lot of fans are wondering what you're doing with Alshon Jeffrey.
Well, right now he's, he is a part of the offense. He's a part of what we've done, the success we've had here, and he is coming off an injury, and we do have to get him in the game a little bit more, and that's again, that's on me to get him in the football game, and also Hightower at the same time. So, you also knew that JJ was not available in this football game, and Quez was down, so. Alshon was up and active for this game.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Les.
Hey, good afternoon, Doug. Jalen Hurts played one offensive snap. Regardless of the way Carson is playing, why isn't Hurts on the field more? And is this the type of workload and usage we should expect going forward?
No, I think I could get him in the game a little bit more.
Go ahead, Les, and then Nick.
Hi, Doug. On the discussion from yesterday about people asking you about benching Carson, you said you didn't want to send the wrong message to the team that you had given up. But I guess the counter to that would be, by not doing something, do you send a message that any sort of mistake or poor play is excusable, or that people aren't accountable for what they do?
No, I kind of addressed it this morning on the radio, and we still have a lot to play for, and we still have a lot to fix. It's not, in this city, the quarterback and the head coach, right? I mean, it's all about the QB and the head coach, and everybody else can almost go by the wayside, I guess. And so it's almost like a two-man band, but there's enough work to be done, as I've mentioned, by all positions. Receivers can play better, the O-line can play better. We had how many different offensive? We played all 9 offensive linemen yesterday in this game. Opeta, who was a left guard, is now playing right guard, and we had to bump Pryor out to right tackle, and Driscoll was in there, and Malata's playing the left side. It was just it was another one of those days. Running backs, we need to hang on to the football. Quarterback needs to play better. Defensively, we've got to get off the field on third down. We've got to be able to tackle better. Same way on special teams. We got to be able to tackle in space. So there's enough to go around that none of it's excusable. We all hold each other accountable, coaches and players, and that's why I keep saying that we have a lot to play for. There's a lot of pride here, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nick, and then Ruben.
Hi, Doug. Just talking about Alshon again. Since he's come back, Travis Fulgham's production has really been basically nil. Did you worry about that dynamic and how reintroducing a wide receiver can impact the rest of the group? You were getting a lot of great production from Travis before that.
No, I'm not worried about that. Worried about Alshon's presence right now. I'm concerned about Travis's production and getting him better and helping him get better. And he needs to get better. As I've mentioned, we all have enough to do, enough work to do, and obviously he's part of that. He's part of that group.
Ruben and Kristen.
Hey, Doug. Nate Herbig, he started, didn't miss a snap. First 8 games. I'm sorry. Hurt his hand or his finger. He wasn't on the injury list this past week, but then he didn't play. What's going on with him? Is he going to be back in the picture, or is there something more to it?
There's nothing more to it. Opeta has deserved the opportunity right now, and with Isaac coming back, it was just we had all the offensive linemen available, and we had to put a couple of guys down, inactive for the game. So Herbie's doing fine. He's doing well, and each week, he's competing for one of those backup spots. right now, or potentially a starter spot if there's an injury, each week.
Kristen and then Bo.
Hey, Doug. This Eagles team is no stranger to adversity. You guys have been through it before, kind of in similar situations for the last 2 years. And you mentioned yesterday that this is going to be a challenge now, maybe even for the veteran leadership, to make sure that guys stay in it. What's worked in years past, and why are you maybe not seeing that right now?
Well, what has worked is just what you mentioned, the leadership of the team, the veteran players just really embracing and taking ownership in not only their job, but also the team and leading the football team. And there's been a lot of things that have surrounded this football team this year with the pandemic and COVID and injuries and different things and that we still have a lot to play for. We still have an opportunity in our division to win the division eventually, and hopefully it's going to take everybody. Listen, that's not. I guess it's a hard task, right? It's an uphill battle, but we just have to do our part. I've got to coach better. The players we have to practice better, and ultimately we have to play better in order to really get this thing back on track.
Bo and then Martin.
Doug, how was the game day operation different yesterday without Press Taylor and Aaron Moorhead? What specifically did you guys do to account for that?
Well, I was a little more involved on the sideline when I could and be a part. Nate Sudfeld and Jalen did a nice job. Andrew Briner and Rich did a great job of, getting on the either headsets or the phones and talking through with the quarterbacks, spending more time, with the receivers and the running backs and sort of bridging that gap. Coach Peel did a great job of communication. So we all just kind of took ownership in that and just sort of involved everybody in that process.
Martin and then Ed.
Hey, Doug. One of the things you said yesterday was this is going to be like a great sign to see who's in and who's out. I was wondering, have you noticed anybody not being all in at this point? And how concerning would it be if you were to discover that was the case?
I have not discovered that so far. I think that's more of a, maybe a word of caution to everybody. Like, listen, we still have messaging is not going to change, right? We still have our goals right in front of us, and I just want to make sure and everybody understands that we still have a great opportunity. As poorly as things have been, we still have a great opportunity in front of us. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that we still have to go out and practice. We still have to meet. We still got to do the things that, to prepare ourselves for each game. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, hey, we're all in on this, right? And it's kind of like we're pushing our chips into the middle of the table, so to speak, and everybody's in. And I haven't noticed anybody not being in, and wouldn't expect that.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Mike K.
Hey, Doug, might not be a popular question because I want to ask you about the positive, any positives that you've seen, so far this season, especially someone like Alex Singleton, who has played all the snaps the last 2 weeks and has double-digit tackles. I mean, what do you see from him, and what other positives do you see from anyone else so far this year?
I think Alex, as you mentioned, has been a big bright spot for us. He's been, as you mentioned, he's played, a ton of snaps, obviously, on defense. He's played, he's a core teams player. He's a great leader, great energy giver, and just somebody that has really embraced his role. I think about, guys like, Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, who have been real, leaders of this football team. They play and practice hard each and every week. Even, you look at Miles Sanders and Boston Scott and kind of what they've done as in the run game and kind of picking that up. I am encouraged. Obviously, some of the bright spots have been the receivers. Quite frankly, Travis has obviously been a big part of that and emergence there. Jalen Rager's getting better the more he plays. And then Darius Slay, I think on the outside as a corner, has really done some nice things there. Being able to shut down a top receiver on the opponent or whatever Jim asks him to do. So there are definitely some bright spots and some positives on the football team that have emerged this season.
We've got time for a couple more. Sorry, I can't get to everyone. So Mike K and then Mike Sealski.
Hey, Doug, I know a lot is being made of the offensive line shuffling, but when the offensive line is protecting and there is no pressure, what are you seeing from the passing game, and how would you evaluate the passing game when the offensive line is protecting from a play calling standpoint, from a Carson standpoint, from a wide receiver standpoint?
Well, when you're seeing that, and then you have to look to the concept of the play. You have to look at the routes. You have to, see if guys are in the right spots or doing the right things. And sometimes, listen, give credit to the defense. You've heard of a coverage sack before, and that's happened. That's real. And then on top of that, Carson has had the ability to move and extend plays, and so those are all things that are part of that. We when we do have clean pockets, normally we're doing some things well down the field. The ball's completed, but at the same time, I've got to look at the concept, the routes, and making sure guys are in the right spots.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Doug. Since Carson kind of hit what could be called his peak in 2017, he had the torn ligament in his knee, he had the back injury, and he had a concussion. Those are three pretty serious injuries. What's been the effect on him of those from what you've seen, and what's been the effect on maybe on how you might call a game because of the after effects of those injuries?
Well, I hesitate to comment on how he feels or what he is going through, because that's more probably a question for Carson. But from a play caller standpoint, those injuries don't play a part, obviously, into how I approach the game or how I call the game. But I think to answer the first part of that, I would say that's probably a Carson question to see how he feels and how he's overcome those injuries.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.